I've gotten a couple of comments about determination and how am I driven to do what I do. Also, the whole thing about how does somebody finish a book? You know, go from the beginning to end and do a whole book. And I've done that a couple of times. It's of course very time consuming to read and do problems for the whole book. Usually in a class, you just don't do that. In a class, you're bound by those 16 weeks or however long it is that a semester lasts. And you're never going to cover a whole book of anything, even a small book. But anyways, I want to answer both of those questions. So I think the first one is that when something is a hobby, for some reason the mind is tricked into doing a lot more because it's enjoyable. Okay, that's the big thing. When you take a class, you may love a class, like for example, I really enjoyed quantum mechanics, but there were other classes that I really was not fond of. I remember a statistical mechanics class that I took that was just the n-body problem, and I just found it not fun, okay, even though I think the field is interesting. And so the main thing that I would say is that it's a psychological thing of I'm having fun. And as long as you define it as fun, you can do a lot. You can devote a lot of time for it, and you have the determination. That's number one. Number two, it's got to be something that you intrinsically do find interesting. And I find mathematics to be very, very interesting. I have many times when I am reading a book and learning a concept where I'm like, oh, wow, now I'm learning about that. And that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, I want to learn more. It's got to be something that you want to do. It's very simple. And then the second question, and this is going to be a very brief video, of course, is the whole thing about completing a book. I find that if you take any one of these books that I've read, these are the books that I've read completely. So I started with Number Theory Arose, and I read this whole book. I'm not counting the book that I took for a class because I didn't do the whole book for that class, as I was mentioning before. I think after that one, I went and I must have read Wade. Read the whole book. Mistake that I made with Wade is the last 3 chapters I only read. I didn't do any problems. That's terrible. I'm never making that mistake again, I think. It's as though I never read it. And actually, I didn't even bring up Conway's point set topology because I didn't even try a single problem in that book. It doesn't count. I might as well not even have touched it. Then this book, I did do some problems for the early chapters and the topology chapter at the end, but I did not do enough, so I feel bad because this is such a great book, and I read it, but I didn't do all the problems. That's a lost opportunity. Then, these 3 are happy ones. I read them all. I attempted as many problems as I could, and of course, in the case of Anton, as you all know from recent videos, this was a lot of work. I mean, like 1,300 pages of notes and problems. Attempted, over 1,000 problems, something crazy like that. So these 3 are happy. And then I'll end with the problem of what I call the quarters, the 25% increments that I believe I can map to the work that I've done. So I think for a book, you take any book, the first half, okay, the first half, plus one page, is the happy point, okay? Once you get to, and of course this is not the half of this book, I'm just, picking some random place that looks like a half. Once you make it to the first half, and you've made it one more page, and you've read the entire book, and you've attempted many, many, many of the problems, you've built so much momentum that any time something is brought up, and the author will say, or authors, oh, this theorem back in here, or here, or here, you're with it. You've got this momentum. And so a half plus one page for me is the happiest point of reading a book because I know I'm going to finish it. I just am, because I just have momentum that I've built to get to that point. And so that I would say the third quarter of a book is, to me, usually the easiest, followed by the first quarter, because with the first quarter it's new and it's like, oh wow, I'm learning the subject, oh, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. That's always a lot of fun. Then the fourth quarter is number 3, It's like, you're going to get it done. You're a little tired from reading so much, but you have momentum. Just finish it. The hardest part, the one that I think I'm always very careful about to like save energy, get a lot of rest. If I get confused about something, I step away. Maybe there's a holiday. I don't spend that holiday doing math. I actually take it off. I just did that recently because I am in FIS in that 25% that I think is the hardest, which is the second 25%. So I've laid it out, and if I ranked it, it'd be easiest, third quarter, second easiest, first quarter, third easiest, last quarter. The painful one is the second quarter, and that's the one that I'm in right now for this book. I hope you enjoyed that.